Welcome to the Royal Road School of Carmelite Prayer as we continue our study of Love4Love, the life and the works of St. Teresa of Jesus as written for us by Edith Stein. We are currently in chapter 12 of this essay entitled St. Joseph's of Avila, the First Monastery of the Reform. So a small group of nuns and visitors present for the worship on the feast of the Blessed Virgin of Mount Carmel on July 16, 1560, were discussing the obstacles to a life of prayer presented by the large number of nuns living in the monastery and its many visitors. Maria di OCampo, a young relative of the saint and a celebrated beauty, suggested that someone should establish a monastery in which the life of the ancient hermits could be revived. In all seriousness, she offered her dowry for this. The next day, Teresa told her trusted friend, Donna Guiomar Ulloa, a young widow who, like her, led a life of prayer under the strict direction of Father Baltazar Alvarez, of this conversation. Donna Guiomar enthusiastically took up the idea, but what was decisive was that the Lord himself was calling for the project. Teresa tells us that he assured me that he would be very well served in a monastery that I might found, that this house would become a shining star shedding the brightest light. God added that even though they had lost some of their early enthusiasm, the orders were nevertheless great service to him. What would the world be if there were no monasteries? According to the will of the Lord, the new house would be consecrated to St. Joseph. Now Teresa no longer hesitated. First, she turned to her confessor. He made his consent dependent on the consent of the provincial of the Carmelites, Father Angel de Salazar. This consent was easier to get than expected because of the mediation of Donna Guiomar. 3 very devout religious, whose advice Teresa sought, gave encouraging replies. Jesuit Francis Borgia, Dominican Luis Beltran, and Franciscan Peter of Alcantara. Now the next task was to find a house. But before this could happen, the public scented Teresa's plans, and this aroused a storm of indignation against her and her friends. One can certainly understand that the nuns of the Monastery of the Incarnation would take it as malicious arrogance for one of their own to want to leave their house to live in greater perfection than the community in which she had been formed. And people in the city shared this view. The 2 women received their first strong support from the scholarly and highly respected Dominican, Father Pedro Ibanez. When the provincial withdrew his consent under the pressure of Teresa's sisters and compelled Teresa to inaction, her friends continued with the work of preparation. Donna Guiomar, directed by Father Ibanez, Don Francisco de Salsuda, and Caspar Daza, the 2 who had once by their doubt caused her so much soul-searching, but were now entirely won over to her. A little house was discovered. Her brother-in-law, Juan de Oval, the husband of her younger sister Juana, who herself had been raised in the Monastery of the Incarnation and loved Teresa greatly, bought this house and moved in to protect it until it could be given over to its real purpose. Amen. So it's always exciting what's going on with Teresa of Avila. I hope you're enjoying this story, and may God bless you and yours as we continue the foundation of St. Joseph of Avila. Amen.